What's good, family? I was not planning to make this video. I intended to in a later date, but it honestly just came up. And it's really something that needs to be discussed. And it's about your soul. It's you and your soul as an artist, you and your soul as an entrepreneur, as a person. And I'm going to give you the realest perspective that I ever can. I'm recording this on one medium, but if this video goes over, it goes over. Your soul is perhaps the most important thing that you have. Your soul is not quite your spirit. Your spirit is your connection to the higher power itself. So when people talk about spirituality, that's what they mean. They want to be connected to the higher force or power. The universe is a physical thing, but God is the consciousness. It is the mind. It is the essence of the universe. The universe is a physical thing that you live within. You witness it. You can touch it. You may not be able to touch Mars or anything like that physically from your seat. But that's what people mean with spirituality. This video isn't about that. This video is about the immense amount of things, the immense amount of forces, the people, the organizations that are going to come after your soul. So souls are not cheap. People do not know the value of their soul. There's a difference there. Your soul is the most valuable thing that you have. It's more valuable than sex. It's more valuable than your artistry in itself, quite honestly, because without your soul, you can't be a good artist. You can have a team of ghostwriters. You can have a team of financial backers that no matter what you produce, it's going to get pushed and supported. Yeah, we have a lot of that going on. But it does not change the fact that that thing inside you, your consciousness, your being, your essence as a human being, that is the lifeblood of your existence here on this planet. To give you some background of why I'm talking about this, you can look at the music industry, you can look at the movie industry, and there's already like tons of videos about that. So again, this video isn't really about that. On a personal level, and this is just my anecdotal experience, I have been approached to join the Illuminati about 4 or 5 times. I have been approached to join the Masons about twice. I've been approached to join the military since I was 13. And I've been approached to join the police force since I was about 15, 16. It's real. And it comes in a lot of different ways. Even when I joined my fraternity, I joined and I saw a lot of things that I did not agree with. I saw a lot of things that I did agree with. So I still like hold on to my shirt. I still hold on to the memories. I still respect the people there. But I also saw a lot of things that were very borderline, but not fully within. It's like preparation for that. So when I started seeing the signs for different like multi-level marketing groups, for instance, different groups that when Illuminati did approach me, it was very reminiscent of that experience. For a lot of people, it's going to be tempting. I believe Miguel was talking about this. Miguel was basically saying that, yeah, it exists, but for some artists, they go the independent route and they have no problem going independent, like Montana of 300. He has no problem being independent. He does everything himself. Miguel, on the other hand, doesn't really release music that regularly, but when he does, it's immense. When he goes on tour, it's immense. When he does features, he does something like that, it's immense. It's with the top guys in the business. While most independent artists will never get that opportunity. Because this is just the way the game works. Let me just break it down real quick so you're not having like this one side image. Everything works through your network. Everything works through who you know, why you know them, and why they know you. What you can do for those people is also very important. Absolutely. You have to provide some sense of value for everybody and for everything that you really do in life. But as far as this topic is concerned, it's like joining a political party or something of that nature, that you're joining a team that has gone through the same process that you've had. They have all sacrificed the same things that you did, and they also do not want people to know about it. So that's when the secret society bullshit comes in. And people are very, very protective of this. They're very, very protective of it. I gave a lot of different resources and a lot of different groups that you can identify to go along with that. So I'm just going to leave it at that so I don't stir the pot more than I already am. This video specifically is for those people who want to stay independent. You wouldn't be on the writing lifestyle.net to begin with. You wouldn't be watching these videos if you weren't focused upon self-sufficiency, if you weren't focused upon independence, if you weren't focused upon becoming the person that you need to be rather than relying upon other people. So this is for you. This isn't to tell you not to join the industry because I have no personal stake in that. I probably wouldn't listen to your music anyway if you were in the industry. It's just too negative for me. This is a clear list of what you can do to maintain your spiritual presence and being while being an artist and being a true artist, living this lifestyle and creating. So, first thing you really need to do is before you even really get to that stage, and there's another video, or there's also a blog, an article about it, about the different stages of artistry when you're first getting started. I highly suggest you check that out. I'll leave a link to that somewhere. You need to set clear goals. You need to know exactly what it is you want. You need to know exactly who it is you are. You have to know exactly what it is that you do. If you clearly define your own identity before even getting involved, before even writing your first book or recording your first song, if you know who you are, you're going to have such an easier go round about it because people will embrace you with such more respect. The things that you create are so much more authentic and just, in my opinion, they're usually better and a lot more creative because when you're truly true to yourself, when you're true to your goals and you have a set amount of goals, you are the force that is motivating you. If someone disagrees with something that you say or something that you're doing, but they don't know your goals, and you tell them what your goals are, you tell them what you're trying to accomplish, and they still don't want to help you or assist you, now you know that you can save your time with this person and let them go. The hardest thing about the industry and being an artist is a lot of what you do depends upon validation. A lot of what you do really depends upon the opinions and ideas that other people have of you. But when you reach the realm of simply being talented, like a Steve Jobs, for instance, when you are the value, people are going to gravitate to you regardless. And there's going to be such a higher quality of people that gravitate towards you and that want to be around you and that want to support you and be in your niche versus appeasing people who do not care about you, who only like you because you agree with them, who are only listening to you because you tell them things that they want to hear, or that you're just like everyone else, you're just generic. If you set your sorry, my bad. You set your goals clearly from the onset of all of this. All of this. Once you achieve your goals, you can create new ones to accomplish. If you have people creating goals for you, if you're living according to other people's goals about you, or you're only living to fulfill other people's goals, you're always going to be generic. You're always going to be a tool. You're always going to be fake. And this is when you get to the idea of the one hit wonders or people that made the sacrifice, they made the jump, they joined the industry, and then the resources ran out. Versus being on your own, the resources aren't even there to begin with, and you're forced to use your creativity, you're forced to use what's around you, you're forced to be the very thing within itself that creates you your success, that gets your notoriety and gets your fame. The next thing that I'm going to suggest that you do if you want to be an independent artist and you want to keep your soul in this game and in life in general is that you have to begin to learn the process and the production, the behind the scenes basically of what's going on. You need to know the behind the scenes process for how all this happens. If you are a writer, the writing lifestyle that now of course I'm going to gear towards you first. You need to understand publishing. You need to understand editing. You need to understand the process of production and promotions. Because even if you do hire someone, and this is around the board, same thing with a musician, you should know something about sound engineering. You should know something about music theory. You should know something about licensing and getting your music out there and how to copyright your music, how to copyright your books. Because if you do not, you're always going to be reliant upon other people and you're always going to have to wait for other people to do these things. If you learn them yourself, which is what this site is meant for, we're going to give you baseline tutorials in the near future. Um, the more advanced stuff you're either going to pay for or learn yourself, but we will be doing tutorials in the future. If you learn most of this behind the scenes stuff yourself, when you hire somebody else, you're hiring someone for a specific purpose of either being better at it than you are, you have some sense of novice level ability, but they have an expertise within it. then you can have conversations, you can talk about them, what's going on. If you have no idea what they're doing, you can't really speak too much. And when they get into that realm of speaking from research or speaking from authority, you're forced to kind of bow your head like a little puppy because you don't know what you're talking about anymore. It also gives you far more control in what you're doing, because then when you get to that standpoint, you are doing it as a hiring manager. You're doing it as the boss in business of your own creation, and you need to look at your artistry as a business. That's really what's going to help you stay independent. And even if you don't, it's going to help you actually monetize and live off your artistry, or at least endure the lifestyle that's necessary to be an artist. Um, Understanding the behind the scenes process, one, enables you to release maybe some work that you can do independently yourself. And the idea of music, you might have a mixtape that, if you know everything yourself, if you know at least like the base levels of like the behind the scenes productions, you can release mixtapes all day and night. And then when it comes to you releasing your album or releasing your single or doing collaborations, you can do that through either an independent, a smaller label, or if you are signed, you can do it with them if you have a good contract. More than likely, you probably won't have a good contract, you won't be making all your money, and you probably just won't have any control. You're just going to be performing when they call upon you. I don't like that. And I don't live my life to, I'm not a performer. You know, I'll step on stage, I don't perform. I'm not a monkey. I don't put on a tie and a bow tie and just speak the jargon. I have no agenda when I do this. This is completely for usage of improving people's lives. With that, your self image, it's so important. No one is going to fight for you if you can't fight for yourself. No one is going to like you if you don't like yourself. No one is really going to respect you if you don't respect yourself. I would say one of the major things, since I did not finish college and I have to learn how to do this myself with my own tools and with my own method, is that when you get a college degree, you're able to leverage your self worth when you go to a job. Depending what university you went to, what you studied, what kind of grades you got, what you were involved in, what kind of experience you got in college, you are able to leverage your self worth. So when you go to a job, you go to a profession, you can demand more money, you can demand a better like position, you can demand more respect. But if you're like a very small percentage, if not 10 to 15% of the population, actually go to college, it might even spread out to about 25%. I can leave an accurate statistic of that if you want to within the article. But a very small percentage of people actually go to school, go to college, or can afford it, period. It might even be as low as 5%, quite honestly. I read an article a few years back when it was like actual graduates of university were in like the 5 to 10% percentile ranking of the world. That's important. When you're the everyday person, you're the everyman out here, and you might have went to trade school, there's no real trade school for artistry. There's no real way to really leverage your self-worth as an artist unless you have some internal mechanism within yourself or some life experience that you know what you went through, you know who you are, you know your experience, you know your knowledge, and no one can tell you otherwise. This leads to a lot of people being very vain and very arrogant and very narcissistic. It can also lead you to just entering better positions and avoiding a lot of positions and situations because you know exactly what you're worth. I stick to the secondary category. I really don't have any trouble admitting when I do something wrong. I like to learn new things. Honestly, having the right lifestyle.net has forced me to learn and practice everything that I preach. And I'm no longer in a position where I can say one thing and do another. Everything I do now needs to be aligned because I'm releasing public work. Um, like that, your image as an artist, there's a lot of people that go through a lot of like gimmick changes, a lot of brand changes. They have to go through this bad boy thing or whatever in order to sell albums, or they have to like be a hardcore sex addict as a woman in order to get attention or be liked. It's really sad, and that leads me to the next thing, which is like drug usage and drug addiction. Artists are probably the greatest proponents of drug users on the planet. The very nature of artistry is this idea of creating new worlds, new perspectives, and new ideas. And it's not hard to do that with a sober mind, but most people do not rely upon using a sober mind to do it. They might use a sober mind to edit, they might use a sober mind for business, they might use a sober mind for other aspects of it. But the actual creativity, the actual artistry phase, a lot of people use drugs to feel more creative. I'm not necessarily saying there's a lot of drugs you shouldn't use. You shouldn't use meth. You shouldn't use heroin. You shouldn't use crack. People that use those drugs and do those things, they live very horrible lives. You shouldn't abuse alcohol. You know, LSD is something. I'm just gonna go through the whole thing for you because we should try to be as honest as possible here. I try to give you 1,000% honesty. You can try LSD. It might help you if that's like subject matter. Same thing with things like ayahuasca or shrooms. But I worked with people and have been around people that they do too much acid, too much. And it is literally acid. It is acid for your brain. They can no longer function in society. They can no longer hold real jobs. They can no longer hold real relationships. These people have used these, like hallucinogenics specifically. They use it so much that their brain is gone. Their brain is in the other world now. Maybe that's what you want, but if you do that, you can't live a low life from reality. Same thing with spending too much time by yourself. It's something I do. Cocaine, weed, and alcohol, these are things that you definitely should not abuse. I would say don't use cocaine or because it's expensive. You know, it's just gonna cut into everything that you can advance. The same thing with bud. But alcohol and weed, I would say that these should be your wheelhouse. You shouldn't abuse them. You shouldn't use too much of them. But alcohol and weed, if you need a drug, if you need something that to get you out of this or to help you deal with life, marijuana, cannabis is probably your best bet. Secondarily, I wouldn't recommend this either. But alcohol, going to the bar or something, having a few drinks with friends, picking up a six pack or getting a bottle of wine, that's not a problem. Drinking hard alcohol on a daily basis, drinking hard alcohol on a weekly basis will fuck up your life. And then the issue with this, and this is gonna sound crazy to you, but even the black supremacist movement or the white supremacist movement, both these movements are strongly against any sense of drug or alcohol usage because they quite literally make you more docile. You become easier to control, you become far more agreeable, you become far more seeking validation or just rest, you become lazy because of drug usage. I'm completely honest about that. It makes you far more malleable as a person. It makes your spirit more malleable. It opens you up to other spirits and other presences and instances of life. And it also just makes your mind far more like malleable. It's not good for you. And it's not good for you in the way that other people say it. Like, it's not just a physical way. You can't live a full life if you're addicted to drugs. This leads to the next thing is having a strong spiritual life, as I started with. Having a strong prayer life or a strong meditation life in any field of life that you enter is going to make you better. As an artist, this is going to help you, one, with yourself and your individual thing, because that's what this is all about. It's about you as a person, it's about you and your life. You know, there are a lot of people out there trying to make it in the industry, there's a lot of people trying to make it there as an artist, and there's clear ways to set yourself apart. If you're someone with a strong spiritual discipline, a strong or a very vibrant spiritual life, or a very vibrant, very strong aura, people are naturally going to gravitate you to you regardless. There's a lot of independent artists that are like that, or a lot of new artists that are like that, that they have a very strong spirit. Amelie Sade, if that's how you say her name correctly, she made The Garden and My Kind of Love. She has such a strong voice and spirit and identity that I don't really care if she's done anything else in the industry or any of the sacrifice stuff that she did. Because even without those things, she would still be successful. She's still talented. You know, your spirit allows you to conjure your talent. Most times, I'm going to give you the perfect example of this because it happens all the time. You have an artist, you have a musician who they're great when they first come out because they have a lot of they're not even great. The songs they produce aren't even that good. They had one hit single, one good work, and they had a massive media push, a massive promotional push, and then once they get into the drugs and alcohol, once they get into the celebrity lifestyle, once they get into the chaos of everything that's going on, they lose their spirit, they sell their soul, and then they're completely washed up. It happens all the time in every instance. They do too much drugs, they abuse their soul too much, or even to get in the game when they first started out, when they had that big media push, their soul was already sold. So once that wears off, because it's not anything you buy, no matter what it is, eventually is going to decay and break. No matter what you do, you can't force people to like you. You can put your music and you put your product in front of your face all you want. When I ran my first advertisement for my book New Girl, I had about 200,000, like 180,000, 20,000 people is a lot. So I'm just gonna tell you a number. Like 180,000 people look at it. Two people bought the book. If not like one. I mean, they might have brought the book from like I also like do a lot in person too. They may not have even bought the book because of the advertisement. You could put your music in front of a lot of people. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube that I would never buy. Sad reality. Keeping your spiritual life in place, becoming a strong person is going to help you pour your soul into your artistry. It's going to help you pour your soul into your music, and it's just going to help you become a better individual all around. If you focus your life upon having a stronger spirit and having a stronger soul, then the mental aspects that you have to go through, because you're going to have to learn some sense of discernment, which means that you're going to have to learn whether or not someone is lying to you. You have to start learning whether or not information is true or false. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to go through. You're going to take better care of your body, better care of your mind, better care of your health, because your spiritual health and your soul health is directly connected to that. Directly connected to it. And then once you truly develop your soul and you truly develop your spirit, it's going to pour out of you, and you're going to treat people differently. You're going to interact with the world differently. You're going to interact with literally every walk of life, even like ducks or birds or plants, completely differently. It's going to improve you versus what you currently see in the industry is that you have a bunch of people that did sell their soul. You have a bunch of people who do not care about their soul. They don't care about their spirit, and they're terrible people. They're rude, they're always angsty, they're always irritable, they're always mad, they're never satisfied because they don't have a strong spirit. There is no deeper thing to them than the material world. They're materialistic, they're shallow, and they're vapid. And if you're going to survive as an entrepreneur, if you're going to survive as an artist, those things cannot be associated with you. So I thank you for watching the video. I thank you for supporting therightlinglifestyle.net. Make sure to check me out on Instagram under Navaliden. Check us out on Facebook under the United